Welcome to Charity Therapy, the podcast where we explore the ups and downs of the nonprofit sector and answer your burning questions. I'm your host, Jess Birkin, owner of Birkin Law Office, and I'm excited you're here. Imagine hanging out with me and my super smart, funny nonprofit expert pals. You get to ask them anything about your nitty-gritty nonprofit life and get their wisdom for free. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just strapping on your nonprofit boots, we're here to share stories and remind you you're not alone on this journey. So get ready to join the conversation and bring me the tough questions. I ain't scared. Ready to rock? Let's dive in. Hey, and welcome to this episode of Charity Therapy. I'm your host, Jess, and I am here with my co-host, Meghan. Hello, Meghan.
Hello. I'm happy to be here. How are you?
I am good. It is getting to be fall. I am feeling the pumpkin spice approaching. It's time for apple picking. I have grass seeding to do. I can feel the fall vibes.
I'm so ready. I went to an apple orchard because I was I feel the fall vibes. But then when I got there, it was 90 degrees and I was very upset about it.
Hashtag Minnesota. Yes,
it's either going to be accidentally 45 or 90 in this time of year, and you don't know which.
True. So true.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we doing? What you got?
All right. Before we start today, I do have a question for you, Jess, about the board of directors at a nonprofit. So I know boards can look and act very differently at different nonprofits depending on the organization. So overall, I want your take. What is the basic job of the board of directors at a nonprofit organization?
The basic job.
All boards do this. What is the role that all boards have to have?
Fundamentally, the core job of the board is to look out for the best interests of the nonprofit and make sure the mission is getting accomplished. I think that's at its base.
Yeah.
That's what it is. In everything you do and every decision you make, you should be ensuring the mission takes place and in making sure that it's in the best interest of the nonprofit.
So whether it's teeny tiny pet rescue where all the board members are the ones picking up the cats on the weekends,
Doesn't matter.
The $1 million organization,
Yeah. It's going to look different at different organizational sizes, but at its core, that's what it is. Sometimes making sure the mission is being accomplished is you rolling up your sleeves and getting it done because we're so tiny. And sometimes that is participating in a candidate search for the best CEO for your organization because you're a multi-million-dollar organization.
Right.
But at its core, that's what their job is.
Yeah. Yep. I think that can get confusing for people just because it can look so different. It's sort of okay, what are we really doing here? What is the goal for this group of people overall? Because especially at an organization that is growing or changing, it's sort of the role of the board might be changing on the day-to-day. So it's oh,
yes.
Wait, but what is the point?
Yes.
And I ask this because I have a listener question today about the board kind of going on the wayside and what that looks like.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's jump in. Listener says, I work for a small business league and our whole board is useless.
Oh, shots fired.
Right? They do nothing to help us, but they keep finding all kinds of random things and projects for us to do. All the directors keep saying they just don't have time to do any of their normal board duties. I was talking with my executive director a while back, and we're wondering if there's a way to get all of the board members to just sign away their board role so that we don't have to have a board at all. The ED and I would really love to just focus on our work without constantly dealing with the board.
OMG.
Right?
How many staff, low key, would just love for their board to go away?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Right?
This is fascinating. Okay.
This is the quiet part that people don't want to say out loud, where it's really my goal would just to not have a board.
Bless you for writing this down and letting us talk about it. Okay. So we just don't have very much to go on here.
I know.
A small business league. All right. So just from that, I can extrapolate, read between the lines. Interpolate. That's a real word, isn't it?
I don't know. It might be, but I'm not sure.
Megan needs to Google that real quick while I interpolate. So small business league, I'm going to take that literally, that they're like a business league or like a chamber of commerce. So this is not a 501c3, like dog rescue direct service. This is like a 501c6 or a C4 that's like a civic organization that's like the whatever county tourist bureau or the like whatever town chamber. And to say that those boards are useless, I don't know. What are they even doing? These organizations aren't that generally, in my experience, just put a little caveat
Allegedly.
out there. These are not on the front lines, like doing the things every day. These are like associations of businesses that are thinking about like, how do we get more tourists to come to the area? Or like, how do we support our local business owners and make sure that like small businesses thrive in our small community or something like that? So there's not a lot for the board to do in an organization like this. I'm going to assume that it is more governance, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Probably a lot of these people are only on this board because it looks good on their resume.
Totally. It's a line on the resume. Yep. A little bit of clout.
It's like, hey, I'm a local realtor and I want to be like seen as credible. So I'm going to like be on this board. Like, does anyone, I'm getting so much trouble. Does anyone actually have a passion for Chamber of Commerce work? I mean,
Chamber of Commerce people, sound off right
please,
now. Drag
get
Jess.
at me. Dude, I need to know where the deep passion for, like, hey, I know some of these people because I went to grad school with them and they're public administration master's program people. But like, really, a lot of these organizations are like glorified networking. Maybe they make a brochure. Sometimes they might collect like there might be like a municipal tax that goes to like fund these organizations or something. But I'm not really surprised that this board is not doing anything to help the team. I am surprised that they have staff. So that tells me this is a big enough organization that they have enough money to do things. But the writer of the question, who's clearly not the ED, because they're saying my ED, so they have at least 2 staff, are like, you're not helping us, but you're giving us all sorts of things to do. Well, yeah, because maybe they feel like that's their job, is to be like, we need to support the local tourism industry or the businesses. And we have the feet on the ground that we are local business owners. We are in the tourist industry. We can tell this is something that we should be doing. And it's their job to delegate to you to make sure that things happen. I don't know what they want from this board. But let's get to the meat of the question, which is, can we have the board sign away their rights? No, that's so funny that you would think that.
They're just like, I mean, get creative,
I get it.
You know?
I get it. I want to have some compassion because, like, I know how frustrating boards can be, believe me.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, legally, these people need to be there. It's how it works. They are the ones with the fiduciary duties. And no, you cannot sign away your fiduciary duties. Now, in all seriousness, what this is probably saying is we have a different kind of problem. We might have a mismatch between what maybe the staff has been told to deliver on. Yep. Like, hey, your performance is going to be judged on A, B, and C. And now the board is saying, oh, but we'd like you to do F and G and H and Y, you know. So that's a real problem, but that is like a managing up situation where you all need to sit down and say, so we've got a lot of new initiatives coming, new ideas, which are great, but could I get you all, and I'm speaking as the ED now, I'm going to need you guys to prioritize these for me in order because F, G, and H aren't part of our strategic plan. So I just want to clarify, which things would you like my team and I to be working on in priority order so that we know when it comes time for annual reviews that we've done what we were supposed to do. Because realistically, we can only accomplish so much in a day, blah, 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 right? Like some of that, like pushing it back up and managing up. And if it's that they're piling things on that you can't get done, great. Then we need to start telling them that. this could be an indicator of like people on the board are not respecting the chain of command. And I see this all the time where you have like, well, the ED is supervised by the executive committee and the staff is supervised by the ED. But you got some board members who think that like this staff person is their personal executive assistant and they'll just like give them stuff to do, which is not their role and not their place. And then again, we're looking at the executive director to appropriately manage up and enforce those boundaries around hiring, firing, supervision, and who gets to give tasks to the staff. That's tricky because the executive director is obviously hired and fired by the board. That is where that conversation needs to be happening.
This situation, obviously, again, we don't have that many details, but it is that it just reeks to me of so many situations we've seen before where a nonprofit does grow. And so it is a board that used to be involved in the day-to-day operations of literally everything. And then they hired staff, which is great, but they're having trouble maybe letting go of the like minutia, and instead they're like, I want to be involved in all of this. Or like, hey, I was doing some like fundraising and talking to Joe Schmo, the like general contractor in town, and we need to like help him with, whatever. And just sending people on these goose chases that they maybe had done all the time when they were just a board, but now there's more structure and they don't have the defined roles that they should.
Yes. Love that you brought that up. I'm just thinking of like all of the times where it's been like, well, I used to publish our newsletter and I want to tell you how to do it. It's just,
you didn't use the Oxford comma here where you should have, like
who knew Oxford comma drama was going to come into this episode?
Oxford comma drama.
There it is. It's always there. I need a bumper sticker that says Oxford comma drama.
I'm always pro the Oxford comma. I'm going to be real.
It's so true that like, if you don't train the board on how do we act now? What are the boundaries? You used to do everything and now you hired people to do everything, but are you still micromanaging? Are you not able to like delegate? And that honestly can be somewhat solved with a board training. Sometimes you need someone like me or somebody to come in and say, let's talk about your legal duties. Let's talk about your relationship with staff and managing and how that is supposed to work, and have some third party sort of neutral outsider come in and tell the board how that's supposed to be. And like, I've definitely worked with a lot of executive directors who are like, I need you to come in and tell them this, and then we can go from there. Yeah. So that's so real.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
I mean, Godspeed, y'all. Whoever you are out there at this little business league.
We're thinking about you.
Just hang in there. Like,
hang in there or
get
don't.
The board to sign off their duties, but like, I get the urge,
I mean, who has never wished that their boss just disappeared? Like, I could just do my job better if my boss, I know, right? This is how I'm telling you, Jess, that sometimes I wish that I just didn't have a boss. But it is true, though. It's that same concept of like, sometimes you're like, I just wish my manager would stop bothering me and I could do my work so much better. It's the same instinct here.
Absolutely.
But like, that doesn't actually mean that you can get rid of them, unfortunately. That's not really how it works.
All right, Megan, what do we got? Take it away.
I got a couple takeaways. Yeah. So first, the core responsibility of the board is to look out for the best interests of the nonprofit. Sometimes that means carrying out some mission-based work. Sometimes that means overseeing an executive director or setting some like strategic priorities. It can look like different things, but ultimately they are the ones sort of like steering the ship and keeping the nonprofit safe. And I will say also that different people have different motivations to wanting to be on the board of directors, and that may also impact how the board operates. So things like a business league may have different reasons that people may want to be on the board than an animal shelter or things like that. And that sort of like psychology of why people want to be there is an important thing to consider. And then third is that like board staff relations are hard. Like whether you've had board and staff as a, like tension point forever, or you're just starting to hire staff for the first time, like these are defined roles that you need to work through, and where people involved it gets messy. So working through what that relationship looks like will help everyone do their job better and help carry out the mission better, no matter what you're doing. So that's what I got. Did I miss anything, Jess?
No, I just think it's normal to be frustrated with the board.
Yep.
You're
It's
not
okay.
alone. It's
Yeah.
okay. All right, folks, if you enjoyed this episode, do me a huge favor. Share it with an annoying board member who won't leave you alone.
Just slide it right in there underneath some other things, you know.
Give us a rating. Share this episode with a friend. Tell us a story. Get at us online. We want to hear from you and hear your questions. And thanks for listening. Bye-bye.